Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first 20 years of my life. Sometimes called West Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. West Louisiana.
Well, it's, Houston is kind of like they're the bayou country. And so, but it was a great place to grow up. I grew up in like the 50s and 60s in Texas. And it was a great time to grow up in America. It really was. It was kind of like the idyllic suburban life,
That sounds amazing. But you didn't grow up in the country, you grew up in town.
I grew up in town, but my grandfather, he lived in like Frankston, Jacksonville, Texas, and these little towns, and I'd spend summers up there. Mm-hmm. So I was very I'm very rooted in that country of it's in that life that comes with it and the way of thinking. My grandfather was, he came to Texas in 1903 in a covered wagon from Tennessee, from about 40 miles from here. And he, was farmer and worked on oil rigs and things like that. But he was a very country guy, and he became rich. It is towards the end of his life. They had oil on land that he had, and he worked on oil rigs and stuff. And he went from flat broke to being worth $2 million in a period of a couple of months.
Oh my gosh!
Oil rigs, and but still lived in like a small house.
Modest.
And he bought himself two 1961 Star Chiefs Pontiacs, and
oh my
but
gosh.
I'd still go, drive around with him. You still drive a couple of miles to save $1 on a rope.
Yeah. That's amazing. So did you end up being like a rich kid because your grandpa got rich?
No. That's like he kept that tight. But, it was just the way he lived. And so,
Mom's dad or dad's dad?
Yeah, well, I guess my dad was an electrician, and he got to where he had his own business. And then my mom, she was a housewife, and then she got into real estate in Houston in the 60s. So she was like, I know she was the first working mom on my block.
That's awesome.
Really went after it. She was a great example.
How old were you when your mom started working?
I was about 8.
So did that bother you, or do you remember?
No, I was kind of really excited for her about it. She'd gone to school and, doing courses. She got her license. And then I remember when she sold her first house and it was quite something. So growing up, I've always gravitated towards strong women too, because she was just that.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on a farm, and my mom's dream was to be a farmer and just have a bunch of babies. I mean, she would have been Amish if she could. And she's very old fashioned, but we're from the Midwest. And so Midwesterners are very stoic. They're very unemotional. And so it took my mother a long time to get to the point where she would even say, I love you too, when we were little and growing up. But she was always at home, always cooking, always meeting our physical needs with cooking and doing our laundry. But I worked my ass off.
That's her way of showing love.
Yes.
That's a love language that goes along with that, right?
Yes.
It's one of the love languages.
And it's mine too.
Yeah.
I got that from her. Like if somebody does something for me to help me out, that means everything to me.
Yeah.
But I remember she started considering getting a job at one point because my parents divorced when I was 12 and we were on food stamps during that time. It was just terrible. And, we were embarrassed and like going to the grocery store and paying with food stamps. And I remember her thinking about becoming a real estate agent. And this was in the 70s. And we were all unbelievably against it because I just didn't want her to be away.
You didn't want her out of the home?
I didn't want her out of the home or off the farm.
Yeah.
You know, we had about 500 acres and she was not only inside, but she was also on a tractor all the time and out doing the outside stuff. Yeah, well,
that's a lot. That's already a career, and
it is,
and as well as taking care of the family and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. But I was grateful that she was an entrepreneur because when she realized that my siblings and I had musical talent, she could have just been lazy and told people like, yeah, my kids they can sing great and but she went out and found musicians and music equipment and all that and put that together.
Did she have a musical background as well?
No. But she has like natural rhythm and she can, hum along perfectly. But my dad is the one that really had the beautiful voice and just an exceptionally beautiful voice. So for some reason, us kids all got.
So your mom was like responsible. She's the structure and everything and the nuts and bolts, and your dad was the influence and your dad was the influence though as far as the rest of that goes. That's kind of the same with me as well. My mom was always like setting things up. Me and my brother driving us, to guitar lessons or acting at school or whatever, and really kind of making that possible. My dad was he was talented. He just didn't know where really to put it,
right?
Or how to do it,
right? Yeah.
But he was he played the piano. He played really great. He was a great piano player, great dancer,
and singer.
A really good singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your
sort
mom,
of like Dean Martin, his voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In fact, I have him. He recorded one of my songs back when I was doing The Night the Lights Went On in Georgia. That was like back in the 80s.
Like the song, who did that song?
There was the movie called The Night the Lights Went On in Georgia from the title of the song.